Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're actually going to be starting a brand new series on my channel that is all about learning about flows. So in today's video, we're going to be creating a record triggered flow and a custom date variable that we're going to be using in our flow. If you are interested in more flow content, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button for all the Salesforce content that you could ever want to see. And we're just going to jump straight into this. Now, if you don't already know how to get to the flow builder, you're going to be in setup and you're going to search flow in the quick find, and then you'll come down and select flows. So that's how you get there. So before we create the flow, I want to tell you the scenario, what we're going to need to automate. Because if you are working in an admin position, you're going to take feedback from users, or you're doing some type of process improvement, you're going to want to understand your case scenario that you're working with. So today, what we want to do is, our test scenario is that whenever someone creates a new account, a task is created that is related to this contact to follow up with the new contact the next day. As if, hey, I met someone off the street, they're wanting to do business with us, I add the contact in, and it'll create a task for the user for the next day to follow up with the new contact. And this task will be over here in the activity center. You can see where you can create a task. So let's go over into flow. We're going to go ahead and get started. So to create a flow, we're going to hit new flow. Okay, we got a bunch of choices here. We're going to want to select the record triggered flow option here. We're going to hit create. All right, so the object we're wanting to select is the contact object, because we want the flow to trigger whenever we create a new contact. So right here it says, hey, when do you want it to trigger? A record is created. So in our scenario, I don't want it to fire when it's updated, because this is just like a follow-up task for a welcome reach out. Hey, thank you for wanting to do business with us. Let's continue this relationship, right? So every contact, I want it to happen. So I'm going to do no entry conditions. If you're going to add it in, you could add in some custom formulas, like if a field on the contact is set to a certain value, but I want it to fire on every new contact. And the options here is, this is a fast field update. This fires before the record is saved. This fires after the record's saved. I want it to do after save. We'll hit done. Great, so we went ahead and created the first part of the flow. So we're going to go in and add a new element. We're going to hit the plus sign. So whenever a new contact is created, we want to create a task that will be for the next day for the user to follow up on. So we're going to come down here and we're going to want to create records. All right, so we're going to call this create follow up task. All right, so how many records do I want to create? I just want to create one. And how to set the record fields. Use all values from a record, or use separate resources and literal values. So we are actually going to select this second option, because it's going to allow us to create a record of this object. So we're going to search task. Boom. So now we can actually set the values on the task record that we want it to be. So in this separate tab here, I'm actually going to close out that. So we're actually going to go over here to the task tab, and we're going to hit the drop down and hit new task, because I want to make sure that I grab all the fields that I need to set in my flow. Subject is first, so call, email, send letter, other. I'm actually going to set this as other. So we're going to come down and search the fields. So all these right here are what are available on the task. And we're going to subject, and if it's a pickless value, it'll actually give them to you right here. And I'm going to select other, add field. So what else we need to do? We need to do the due date, which we're going to do in a second, because I'm going to show you how to create a variable with custom logic to set the date for the day after the flow, the day after the task is created. So priority, when you can go ahead and do that, start typing it out. I want to set the priority to high because we got a new customer. I want to make sure that I follow up with them. Status not started. I'm going to go ahead and set that field. It looks like that's a default value and I really wouldn't need to set that, but I just like to go ahead and make sure it's set. So the next field is we have the name here. So we'll go back over the flow. We're going to type name. So it's the who ID, which is name. You can see it bold there. So what you're going to do is you're going to come down, and when you see record like this right here, the money sign record contact object, that is the record that triggered the flow. And I want to set it to the contact ID. So that's going to be the contact that triggered the flow. So it'll be the new contact. So going back over here, we have the related to account. I'm not going to set that up in this case. And we have a comment section here. I'm actually going to put in a custom comment here. So we're going to add field. And they actually call this description. All right. And then what I want to put in here, so if you ever want to insert like custom text into a field, if it's a text box, you just put it in quotations. So I'll say, follow up with new contact. Welcome. Welcome call. We'll just call it that, whatever you want, right? So if you look, that's all the fields we have on here, but I did mention we want to do this due date field, right? And I want it to be the following day after the contact was created. So you can't actually do that directly in this new create records. You're going to need to create a variable first. So we're going to hit done. So if you come over here on this left here, there's this little toggle toolbox. You're going to hit that. You're going to hit new resource. So we have a resource type and we have variable, constant, formula, text, template, and stage. I'm actually going to use the formula, not the variable, sorry, but we're going to use a formula. So we're going to call this task follow up date. Now this is an API name. You can't have spaces. If you wanted to space this out, you'd have to do like an underscore like this. And I mean, I'll show you how you can do it. That way it'll take it, no error messages. So, all right, so data type, we got a date field. So this is a date field, not date time. So remember, date time is going to be like 10:25 and the time, the exact timestamp. Date is just going to be like 10:25 for the date. So we're going to hit date. So this is how you can build formulas within flows for a resource that you can use. This is pretty cool. You can hit insert resource. Now, to insert the date that the record was created, you're actually going to come down and select flow and current date. So it's going to insert the current date that the flow was fired. And as you can see, there's some other messages here, current date time. So we're going to do current date. Okay. And then we want current date +1. So over here is operators, and they actually have it spelled out really nice. They have add. It's just a plus sign. It's easy to remember, but I kind of like using these because if you can't remember, like divide, it's just like your standard mathematic functions. So no big deal there. And then you're actually just going to put a 1. So what this says is the current date the flow fires +1 will be the date that we want. Oh, and we need to check the syntax. Check syntax, valid. So if I had this plus gone and you hit check syntax, you're going to get an error message here because it doesn't know why there's a 1 there. It's not valid. So we hit check syntax again, valid. All right, cool. So now let's go back into our element here, the create follow-up task. So the way you get back is you click and then edit elements. And like I said, it doesn't matter the order these are in. It's going to create this all in one swoop, right? So the field is called due date. So you're going to type due date. So when you click in the value, if you look, formulas, task, follow-up date. Boom, that's the one we just created. So you can hit that. So now we have all the fields in the task that we want, right? Cool. We're going to hit done. Believe it or not, this flow is complete. It is exactly what we need to accomplish the goals we set out to do. So we're going to hit save. I want to call this whatever you want to call it. We'll call this create follow up task. Creates the API name. You can add a description if you want. In a previous video that I link in the description, I taught you how to do a debug, which you can test this out, which we can do that. And I'll link the other video just in case you want to watch it too, that goes into a little bit more detail. So path for debug, run immediately is what we're wanting to do, or skip start conditions. So whenever you could skip it if you wanted to, but I actually want to specify like a contact like Jane Doe. So this is Jane Doe. This is a contact in there that I created before. So when I hit run, it's going to run this flow as if that contact, Jane Doe, was just created. And let's see if it creates our task that we want. So we're going to hit run. Okay, let's see what happened here. Looks like it was successful. We're going to expand all. So you can see entry criteria. Look at this here. Yep. Create the task. It said a record has been ready. Record is ready to be created when the next screen is ready. So yeah, it fired perfectly. You can see the who ID right there. Yeah, so it looks great. So now I'm going to go ahead and activate this, and let's test it out for real this time. So cancel. Let's go create a new contact together. All right, what do we want to call this one? First name, we'll call this Super, and then man for the last name. Let's just say it's related to the express logistics and transport count. Then lead source, I don't know, we'll put other. Doesn't really matter, but I need a phone number in here for sure. So we're going to call this, put 9s in, dummy phone number. There we go. You can fill out other information if you'd like, but there we go. We're going to hit save. So now Superman, the contact, has been created. And if you look right over here, we have a upcoming task tomorrow. Let's click on this. So it's assigned to Salesforce Ethan, the subject's other. Look at that due date. So that's 10:30 today. As of recording, it is 10:29. So that worked out perfectly, as you can see it, the time I created it here. Priority high, which we selected. And look at that comments. Follow up with new contact. Welcome call. Status is not started. And remember how we set it up to assign it to assign to the contact that was just created? Yep, it's assigned to the Superman contact. So perfect. So that flow worked as expected. So that's a cool little flow that we have, and we could create another contact if we wanted to. But one other thing we need to test to make sure nothing funky is going on. So this contact here has no tasks on it. So I'm actually going to edit this contact, and we're just going to verify that the flow does not fire. So I'm going to actually take out this dummy mobile number here and hit save. Verify there's no task that's been created here. So we know our flow is working properly, which we know we set it up to run only when a new contact record is created. So yeah, that's how you create a record triggered flow that creates a task, and it uses a custom formula to calculate the date field in this flow. So I think that's pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash that like button for me. So thank you so much for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one.